because I can see that the viewer numbers is going up as we speak.
Excellent.
So this week on the show, we have
our news feature, as always. Then we are interviewing the lovely Lauren McMullan from Bushmills, who is going to talk about the new release of Bushmills Caribbean Rum Cask and fill us in on what's been going on up the north coast of Antrim. Then we're going to do a little bit. Now, what I'm going to say about this is we're going to talk about whiskey bottle designs, okay? This is not going to be comprehensive. This is just stuff I've picked out of my little collection here, talking about different bottles and some of the stuff and why they've done them and little bits of info from behind. And if anybody watching has a bottle that they particularly like or they find interesting or they think's kind of sexy or whatever, post it up. Tell us if you can post up the picture, all the better. Or just tell us what it is and why you like it. And then we can get a bit of interaction.
What made you come up with this one this week? Because this is a bit outside the box, Marty.
Yeah, Justin, I try and think of things that people might like or people find interesting or whatever. And we have been talking about the design over the last week. Last week, we had Sarah on. We were talking about the McConnell's bottle and how it's sort of a recreation of the old bottles. And it's really quite nice and cost a lot of money. Let's be honest, these things cost a lot of money. We were talking about the teelings and how well presented it is, and so on and so forth. So that was why I come up with this idea.
Okay. Good to know. Listen, we've got an awful lot of people working, watching tonight. We're working, you're watching, you're having a good time.
I was working today, Justin. I was that tired. I've never come home and fell asleep after my dinner. So I'm a bit disheveled.
Bushmills and the bitter lemon. Who was it suggested that? Sleeve League or somebody like that suggested putting whiskey and bitter lemon together. It works. It's lovely. Lovely.
I'm sure it does. If James says it, it's okay. It's good for me. Well, I'm having a black bush.
Are you? That's your go-to drink, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
It is. So listen, we better say hello to some of these people tonight. Let's see who's saying hello. Mark Kerr is always first off. Yes. Sherman Wright is saying, evening, gentlemen.
Sherman interviewed Jackie Fullerton the other day. Watched that. It was superb. Jackie Fullerton, absolute gentleman from Ballymena.
He's a legend, isn't he?
He is a legend. And they talked about the time Giant Haystacks slammed him, which it's just, it was one of the funniest things ever.
I know. Julie Mason is saying hello. Trevor Watson is saying, hi, everyone. Patrick Mulcahy is saying, good evening. Michael Matthews is saying, good evening. Jody Berg is saying, good evening. Darren Barney Milligan is saying evening all. Did he not do that already, or am I reading it twice? Maybe I'm reading it twice.
You're probably too many of them Bushmills and Cloudy Limey, aren't you?
Well, I was trying to toast the send off today, but I was sorting somebody's broadband earlier on. Evening to all from Eric Van de Enya. Linda Cox is saying hello. Sean McClanahan saying hello. Mark Bingham saying hello. Connor O'Milburn saying hello. Joanne Lennox is saying hello.
Oh, yeah.
Bernie Hayes is saying hello. Seamus Tobin saying hello. We'll eventually get to the point we'll have too many people to say hello to,
We always like to say hello to the people that are watching.
It is. Mark Stevenson's. Remember, comment, like, and share, and hit subscribe if you're watching. Zephora is saying hello. Yeah. Saying the JJ Corrie Black Friday bottle is a stunner.
We'll get the bottles later on.
Okay. Well, very good. William McClanahan is saying hello.
Yeah,
Peter Stewart is saying hello. Only discovered I was going live 10 minutes ago. I'm sipping the new rum cast now. There you go. John Dunn. We'll do the bottles later on. Jamie knows. Hard to beat a Black Bush. Jackie was a customer in my shop, says Peter Stewart. Yes, there we go. Ronald Gerson is saying good evening from Copenhagen. Yes, good evening from Copenhagen. I don't know whether I know you or not, because one of the houses I'm at, it's a Danish boy lives there, so it might be somebody I know watching. I don't know. Keith McGann, particularly great to see you guys tonight. Wonder why tonight.
Everything all right, Keith?
Yeah. John Donna saying 2 great releases in the 15th. Hints and Bush rum is great in a highball. There you go. Yeah, I can actually see Lauren nodding in the green room. This is like TV because I can see her. She can't see me. So remember, I can see you, Lauren. Remember, I can see you. She's laughing. She's laughing. Listen, we're 5 minutes in. We've got a couple of great guests to get through tonight.
We do. Now, one thing about it is I've been plaguing Justin. I swear this is true. I've been plaguing Justin to come up with a theme tune for the week in whiskey, right? So he's done this week. He's finally got off his arse and done this. There's every so often, whenever every so often somebody just knocks one right out of the park. When he sent this the other day, I started roaring with laughter because it reminds me of the Archers. A little bit of the Archers. You know the dee 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 dee. And I used to work to 7 o'clock at night. And whenever I come out of work in the car, I knew I was heading home because Radio 4 on came the Archers theme tune. It was like my end of work thing. So Justin, you knocked it out of the park with this, boy. I thought, just brilliant.
Saying it to the inaugural. I only did it because Lauren was coming on this week. I only did it for Lauren.
See, he'll do it for me. As soon as the pretty blonde appears, Justin, no problem. I'll get it done.
Don't be going down the sexist route. We'll be getting Zuckerberg again. We'll be getting Zuckerberg.
I have never been Zuckerberg. You got it.
It was you. Here we go. I'm going to put it on its own, right? Watch this. Let me know what it thinks. Hopefully it fires. Here we go. What do you think of that? Brilliant. Yes, I pulled that out of that. I pulled that out of the hat. There you go. You deserve it. You deserve it. You've your own theme tune now.
Oh, brilliant! Love it. Absolutely.
I wrote it. I sung it, and I did it. No. There you go. I'm better than Terry McCann and Minder. That makes you Arthur.
That's no problem. As I keep saying, there is a few TV programs I watch every day, and Minder's one of them. I watch Only Fools and Horses, Minder, and The Chase. And a few other bits and pieces. That's pretty much all I watch.
You can tell we haven't worked in a year, can't you?
You can see cabin fevers sort of saying that. Yeah.
Here, Connor Ryan says the theme tune for Minder would suit you two perfectly. We tell you, we don't do dodgy deals. And Keith McCann is saying very Butlins. Hi, hoody ho, campers.
It's brilliant. I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I thought that's perfect. I loved it.
Linda Cox says makes me think of Monty Python. Exactly. I am a lumberjack and I'm no.
It's a dead parrot. It ceased to be.
Dead parrot. Listen, what's first tonight on it then?
Oh, Justin, competition time. I seen this the other day and I just thought this is perfect. The best competition ever. The Lustoke Distillery down in Ireland's ancient east are having a raffle. Okay, now here's the distillery. It's primarily a gin distillery, but they've moved into making whiskey, Wise Isle whiskey, and they have a gin school and all of that. They're for £20 ticket. You have 3 prizes. Okay, now we caught up with Brona Conlon earlier on in the week. We did a little interview with her, and she'll tell you what the prizes are. 3rd prize is pretty good. 2nd prize is very good, but 1st prize is awesome.
Okay, have you bought me a ticket? Really? Have you?
No, not yet.
All right. Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Here we go. Rhoda Conlon, founder and MD of Lustoke Distillery, joins us now to talk about, well, it's the prize of all prizes. It's the mother of all prizes, Marty, isn't it?
Justin, this is like my dream come true. That's far better than winning the lottery. Imagine being part owner of my own distillery.
I know, exactly. It's so exciting for us as well. it's just, you know what, as a company, we think outside the box. You know, we were the first gin school in Ireland. We were the first people to do hand sanitizer actually last year with COVID.
I saw that. The first customer was the guards. Is that a coincidence or what?
Yeah, that was for safety. Yes. So I know, but that was a great experience, and I suppose, you know, I mean, like every other distillery in the country, you know, everything sort of went slow for quite a while. But we had fun doing it because we were able to help others, and we really enjoyed doing that. So we're now back, I suppose, we're still doing sanitizer, but we're now really back with the distillery.
Yeah.
And we just launched our new whiskey, which is the Wise Isle whiskey. Also have our gins and our gin school, but the gin school has been closed now for nearly a year. Oh,
Yeah.
it's over a year now. It's terrible. But really, what's happening with us now is that we're actually on our way now to export. So we already are in the US. We are already in Russia with the gin, and the whiskey is currently on its way to Russia as well. And then, so we have our first container as well on its way out to China. And the container actually got stuck in the tailback of the Suez Canal. So we've got a really good, cool photograph of the Suez Canal. But anyway, so I suppose really what we decided to do then with this raffle. So why would we raffle? With two reasons. Number one, because we can. It's our business. We do it. We do different. And the second big reason is, this is such a fun journey. Our distillery is fun. We've got the gin school. Everything about it is just off the wall different. And we just said, you know what, instead of just going the normal way of fundraising, we'll be different. So we're the first to do it. We'll not be the last, but we're the first to do it. And we're offering 5% of our company to whoever wins. It's, you know, £20 gets you 5% of Listoke. So yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. It's different.
You do realise that Justin might win this. Now, I listen to Justin backstage. You would have to listen to him as a company official.
It doesn't matter who wins it. We will have fun with whoever it is. And they will have fun with us because, you know, they're not coming to work every day or anything like that, but they can taste everything new that we make. They can come down to the gin school and develop a new product for us. They're obviously going to be involved in hearing how everything moves along, and especially with the brand activation on the export markets. But it's just a fun journey, and it's, you know, and we're just about to go out there and take over the world, and we will, you know. So it will be valuable down the line. Mark my words, it will be valuable. So yeah, it's fun.
So people buy a ticket, £20. There's 3 prizes.
Yeah. So we're also offering a second prize of £10,000 and a third prize of £5,000, and all 3 prizes will obviously get a collection of our gins and our whiskey and whatever else, just so that you have something to show in your house, and to say sort of that you've been part of the journey. So yeah.
Now, Listoke it's down very near Newgrange. It's a bit north of Newgrange.
Yeah, so we're a bit Monaster Boys actually. So literally, I mean, I walk to work in the mornings and it's walking past the Monaster Boys Tower, which is beautiful because this time of year, like the birds are there and everything, and it's fab. So we are really in the heart of the Boyne Valley.
And there's no tourists this time of year at all whatsoever because there's nobody here.
No.
It's lovely all year. It's not so nice sometimes in the rain, but it's still lovely. It's still lovely. But yeah, no, absolutely. So it is. It's very historical. And then of course it's where all the monks were, where the history of distilling started really with the monks in between Mellifont, which is 2 kilometers away, and Newgrange, and obviously and Monaster Boys Tower. So yeah, you know, it's where we are. It's very historical. It's beautiful.
And it's just off the main road between Belfast and Dublin too. It's not too far off.
Yeah. Exit 11, easy to call too.
Yep.
And we're open all the time anyway, and hopefully now we'll have our school opening up. We reckon it could be the end of June. So we have a fabulous gin school, and it has 18 pots, so people can come down and they choose from about 50 botanicals, and then you make your own bottle of gin to your own recipe.
Take it with
bottle it up, tap it and seal it, and bring it home. So it's a really cool experience. And needless to say, you drink gin and tonic when you're there.
That's handy.
Very important.
That's handy. Now, so to get onto the site, they either can go through your Facebook page or
to go on the site, Facebook, Instagram, what's the other one? Twitter. at the Stoke Distillery. So it's all anything to do with the Stoke Distillery, and it'll all bring you into the site, and you'll automatically get onto the chance to win.
Onto the chance to win. It's a fabulous opportunity. I mean, opportunity of a lifetime. You know,
yeah,
£20. Even Justin would pay that.
Yeah,
well, listen,
it's much better. You have much higher odds than you'd ever have with the lottery.
Or the Grand
Much
National.
more in the long run.
And it'll be a lot more fun.
It'll be a lot more fun.
It would be. Rona, thanks very much for telling us about the competition. And I'll definitely be buying a ticket.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I'll buy Justin's as well. And that way, if Justin's wins, I'll try and get him sidelined out of the way.
He does that with a special edition as well.
Once you get it, but actually, you know what I'll do? I'll get you up some whiskey and some gin anyway to taste. So,
lovely.
You'll have to do that as well.
That'll be
so I'm delighted to meet you, lads. Wonderful.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure to have you.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.
Well, there you go. What do you think of that then?
For £20, you can own a 5% share in a distillery. Now, Justin and I talked to Brona for a period of time after we finished the interview. They are selling to Russia. They are selling to America. They are sending containers to China. This is a place. This will be worth an awful lot of money. Justin and I were both massively impressed by this woman. The Wise Owl Whiskey is a triple distilled, different casks, finishes. Then it's an imperial stout finished, no artificial colour, non-chill filtered, 43%. And she's sent it over to China already. So for £20, and I saw someone asking how much was that in euros, probably about €21.50, €22 for £20. Thereabouts. So yes, that would be that's a prize worth winning.
It is indeed. It is indeed. I mean, I almost think she is the brown owl of whiskies, isn't she?
Yeah,
she is. She's very good.
So she's an impressive woman. Yeah, me and you both come off going, yeah. We'll get her on for an interview towards the end of the raffle. Whenever the raffle's a little bit, we'll have a better conversation, more of an in-depth conversation,
and maybe something else by the sound of it as well. So good. All right. So there we go. What's next this week then?
Next up, Justin, Irish whiskey is going Japanese. Manga. Now, manga mega comic Berserk is tying up with Whiskey Mew, which is a Japanese whiskey site, whiskey sealer. I would go into more depth on it, but I don't read Japanese, so I couldn't really figure out an awful lot.
We did it last week. Harry Carey Mask got me saying that's why they must have sent it through.
They must have heard you and sent it through. Now, chapter 364 of this comic was to be released in January, but with COVID and stuff, they've postponed it. But what they're doing is they are tying up with Whiskey Mew to release a 17-year-old Irish whiskey, bottled at 50.3%. And there's 219 bottles of this, okay? Now, it goes on sale at 24,200 yen, which is about £160 or €185. Do you know how many people read this comic, Justin?
I would say a couple of 100,000.
40 million. Yes.
The bottles are going to sell out. They're going to go like hotcakes.
Yes, this will be harder to get than one of the Dreamcast bottles from Redbreast. This is, let's be honest, when people talk about whiskey bottles that you're going to want to have, that's going to be one. I don't think you have much chance of getting it. I think you have to be in Japan to get it, but that would be a very nice one to get.
Yes, certainly looks Berserk, and you can actually get it on a website called Whiskey Mew. Yeah, actually, is the place to get it, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not 100% sure whether you can buy it if you're not in Japan. But like this, if you know someone who's living in Japan who could possibly get you, you'll want to get that bottle. You will. You'll want to go. You want to go here to this link and get it. Yeah. All right. There you go. Absolutely. I know a couple of people live in Japan, actually. So there you go. There's a couple of Japanese people around here, actually. Yeah. They used to bring me back mini disc players from Japan because they're quite hard to get here, or they were. People always says, "How have you got the latest mini disc player?" And that's because I bought somebody a bunch of flowers and a bottle of something. Yeah. But there you go. Justin, all I will say is, there's lots of people watching this show that don't know what a mini plater is. You're giving away your age, badly.
They were big in Japan.
Well, you're big in Japan.
What's next tonight, then?
Our good friend Connor Winders has released the Irish Whiskey app. Is now available in full for Android. So a few weeks ago, we had Connor on to chat about the Whiskey app, and it was in beta version. I downloaded it for the phone in beta version, and it's now fully available. So if you want to go on, you can check it out. You can buy whiskey through it. You can log up your collection and so on and so forth.
People were waiting with bated breath because it was out for iOS first, and now it's out, and you can get it dead easy from the Google App Store, Google Play Store, or the what do they call it? The App Store on iOS as well. Yeah. Good, excellent stuff.
So next up, Innis & Gunn, the beer company, the sort of craft beer, quite a large craft beer company now, have released an Islay Cask limited edition beer in collaboration with Laphroaig. Now, there's quite a few whiskey guys have bought ex-Laphroaig casks and then aged their whiskey in it and said that it was peated. I've never been convinced by this. It always tastes a little bit artificial to me, if I'm totally honest. To me, it doesn't really work that well. But this is what they've done with the beer now. And there seems to be a huge amount of this crossover between, you have stout cask aged whiskies, then you'll have beer aged in ex Jameson bottles which contain stout cask. They're basically just moving the flavours about. This might be quite interesting because it's bottled at 7.4%. It's an amber ale and it's matured in 10-year-old Laphroaig single malt. So basically the standard Laphroaig bottling. There's only 3,400 bottles of it available. And it's available next Friday the 16th, sorry.
There'll be a lot of interest in this. Camera's celebrating 50 years, and I think a lot of the real ale guys will go for this because especially there's crossover between real ale and fine whiskey. So there is.
And I know you did an interview with the camera guys there a while back. So Dougal Gunn Sharp, who's one of the founders of Innis & Gunn, said, Islay whiskey casks evoke the island that inspires both our brew and iconic Laphroaig. So it's $6.96 a bottle and 330ml bottle. So yeah, it's I wouldn't mind trying that myself, if I'm honest. It might work okay with a beer. I've never been convinced that in a whiskey, but there you go. And that is this week in whiskey.
Good. So the good news is that Lauren is ready, and she's going to join us now, actually.
There she is. Lauren, hello.
How are we?
I missed out deliberately on the big news from Bushmills this week.
Because I'm going to tell you.
You're going to tell us about it. You don't get the theme tune, but you don't get the theme tune.
That's okay. I'm not going to sing for you either, though. You'd have to have a few more of these before I'd be starting any of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, this is Lauren McMullan, and she's the brand ambassador for Bushmills. And I'm going to just big up her head here a little bit because she is one of the most enthusiastic, passionate brand ambassadors I've ever met. She appears on lots of this kind of stuff late on the evening. When lots of people work 9 to 5, Lauren doesn't. Lauren's always, and every time you get to hear her, speak to her, she's absolutely fantastically enthusiastic about what she does. So there you go.
Oh, thanks, Marty. That's lovely. Bring a wee tear to my eye.
So this week we had the launch of the Caribbean rum cask Bushmills. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so officially launched on Thursday, just passed, which was fantastic. So launched into the Irish market officially on Thursday. Now, I know some people had managed to get their hands on this bottle maybe a few months earlier, as it was released in Poland at the very, very start of the year. So Thursday the 15th just passed was the official Irish release for this whiskey. So the Bushmills Caribbean rum cask finish. This is really the first release in an original cask finish series. So it's certainly, I think it's really important to highlight it's not a replacement for the Bushmills original that we know and love. It's simply an extension of the Bushmills original line, if you like. So the Caribbean rum cask finish, we all know the Bushmills original is a blended whiskey, a ratio of malt to grain. The difference with the Caribbean rum cask here, my bottles looks very sad. I'm definitely going to bottle kill this tonight. The difference with the Caribbean rum cask finish is that the malt component has been, so the malt component of the original has exclusively been aged in ex-rum casks or been recast from bourbon, and then of course aged in rum. But it's exclusively the malt component. Now, our master blender, Helen Mulholland, who we all, I'm sure, know very well, phenomenal lady. She has been working with rum casks probably for about 20 years or so at the distillery. And what the rum casks really impart to a whiskey and to this expression is that beautiful kind of tropical, exotic fruit notes. But of course, that Bushmills DNA, that triple distilled single malt spirit, it's still evident in there. You're still getting that beautiful crisp green apple freshness and that honeyed malt, but it's just kind of a little bit amplified there. Beautiful tropical note, bit of toasted coconut in there as well. It's a cracker. I really love this one. I was actually, to be honest, I don't want to say I was pleasantly surprised by it, because it's beautiful, but I really do love this. I really do.
I like a rum cask whiskey. Being honest, I do like a rum cask whiskey. I also, anyone who knows me knows that Black Bush is my go-to whiskey. I always tell anybody who's talking about Irish whiskey and so on and so forth that Black Bush is, for the price point, it's just phenomenal. Now, I haven't done my whiskey reviews. I haven't done whiskey review of Black Bush, but a spoiler alert. It's getting 10 out of 10, right? Okay, just before anybody has to watch it, just telling you now. But I didn't go and get a rum cask because I was in 2 off licenses and it didn't have it, and I hadn't really time to go. I knew one that would definitely have it, but I drove past and there was a queue about 10 people to get in, so I thought, right, I'll rock up some other time. But so this isn't like any of the releases that have come out for other. This is, how much is this a bottle?
So it's about £24 or €30. So again, a ridiculous price point. It's brilliant.
It is. I mean, at the minute we keep hearing. I hear from people. I see people commenting and stuff where it's they're quite happy to pay in the region of £100 for a bottle, and I'm like, hang on a minute, that's a lot of money. They're always limited edition and so on, and here's one that's coming out that's £22, £24, whatever it is.
Absolutely, and see, even from the feedback we've kind of been getting from this, from various people, even from media as well. Obviously, everyone is familiar about the Causeway collection that we launched in October last year. Obviously, super premium, really rare, unique cask finish whiskies, and I think people appreciate that. We've kind of given a bit of love and attention to a more kind of, approachable, I don't want to say approachable, kind of more of an entry level whiskey and something that is a little bit more affordable. And I think people
I love those, Lauren, because you made cocktails. You made 2 lovely cocktails for us, and exactly. I still have that Bushmills hot sauce. It's unbelievable on my breakfast in the morning.
The amount of people who message me on the daily about that hot sauce is hilarious. Like it's been very popular. But no, it's such a versatile whiskey, and as you say, Justin, cocktails. Someone mentioned the highball earlier. Absolutely, and even this is even really lovely, and kind of like I want to say a Caribbean twist on an old fashioned. We call it a Caribbean sun. It's beautiful with rum cask, demerara sugar syrup, and Angostura bitters. Beautiful. Works really well in it.
So we're being asked a couple of questions, a couple of really good reports coming in from it. So I think Thomas Jones was saying hello to you personally. John Dunn is saying, will this release be followed by others?
Absolutely. So similar to the Causeway collection, the clues in the name, it is a collection. So we will absolutely continue to release expressions within that collection this year. Certainly for the original cask finish releases, Absolutely, you'll be seeing definitely another surprise down the line this year. We're hoping probably about, I would say, end of June, July time. So absolutely, this is another series.
But like, guys, I've been a little bit critical of Bushmills over the last couple of years because there's other people seem to have jumped the gun on them, bringing out these special releases and experimental cask finishes. Bushmills actually brought out the acacia wood, and I thought it was exactly what Bushmills should have been doing. But it didn't really. It was only released in the shop, and it was quite limited in where you could get it. Now I think you've actually got ahead of the curve by bringing out something that is entry level price, but something totally different, something that people can try. There's lots of stuff coming out that the secondary market guys are buying it. They have 4 or 5 bottles that they can sell later on, possibly open one. But you're bringing out something that everybody can afford to buy and have a try at it.
Exactly, that's it. I think that was one of the main, as I said a few minutes ago, the main kind of points of feedback that was coming back. It was great that we're kind of, because you have to understand that not everybody wants to, or not everybody can afford to drop £400 on a bottle of whiskey. Absolutely not. And with this one, it's a beautiful, easy sipping whiskey, really, really versatile. And that's what I love about Bushmills. There's something in our kind of family of whiskies for everyone and for every palate, every price range as well, which is great. Somebody made a very big statement, Marty, just when you mentioned about Blackbush. Someone said that the Caribbean rum could replace Blackbush as their everyday drinking whiskey, and I was like, that's a bold statement.
That's a big.
It's like that's a big statement. That's what I was going to mention to you. You've got probably my favourite combination of drinks there: a pint of stout and a Blackbush. Perfect.
What's not to love about that? I mean,
the first thing I'm ordering on the 30th of April when I get into a pub.
I've been watching the news all week, and there's a Twitter page. If anybody's on Twitter, go to a page called Crap London Guinness, right? And what it is people.
I was talking about this earlier to one of my friends.
And it's these guys who are getting pints of Guinness. And do you remember a couple of weeks ago we showed the pint of Guinness? It was quite obviously a tin of Coke that somebody had put in. Do you remember? It was for obviously taking a photo. These things are just horrendous. They're just, and you're like, I'm dying for a draft pint of Guinness, and that's what they're able to get one, and that's what they're being served. You just end up.
I saw that. I literally, one of my friends, I actually have quite a few friends over in London, and they were saying, yeah, we might be opening the pubs earlier, but the Guinness isn't the same over here. So who's really winning here? Roll on the place. A pint of Guinness. Did you see people as well buying the jewellery cleaners to kind of to activate the can, so you get the really good head on it, like a glass? No, that's been a really popular thing recently.
See, I've been looking for this splurge. So is it surge? Surge, that's it.
Yes.
And I can't find it.
No, we can't
so
get it.
Apparently the surge that you're talking about is like £400, but this, I'm pretty sure it's a jewellery cleaner is like 200. So you're like half in the price, and it's pretty much the same effect. Who knows? I'll just wait until I get one in a pub.
Don't try this at home, just in case. No. Don't try this at home.
I don't be putting Jay's fluid or something.
No, don't be listening to Donald Trump. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. No. Listen, what's it like? I mean, I met you at I think it was the London Dairy Arms in Carnock. You were doing a whiskey thing. It seems a couple of years ago now.
That honestly seems like, as you say, 2 years ago, and it was last January. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been a long year. Are you hoping to get back on the road soon doing those, or is it going to be limited to virtual from now on? Is it?
So, do you know what? It's so hard to know. The one thing I will say about the kind of virtual world and, hosting podcasts and, appearing on various different channels is it's allowed me, and I know it's allowed a lot of other people, to chat to whiskey lovers all across the world, and people that you never would have come into contact with had you not have been doing events and things like that online. That's the one benefit that I am going to take away from that. You have people in the US, you have people in Germany and Spain chatting to you about Bushmills, which you never would have probably done before. So that's the one positive about it. In all seriousness, I think we're just going to have to play it by ear and see what happens. Because I'm sure you're both very familiar with our Blackbush Stories series of events, and how popular it is. And obviously we did a great job of kind of converting it to the virtual world, but it's just not the same in person. I'm a huge people person, as you probably know, and I love just talking to people in person, bouncing off the energy in the room. And I miss that. Like, you really do miss that face-to-face interaction with people. But honestly, it's hard to know. I would imagine what you could probably get away with doing is maybe like pop-ups and beer gardens and things like that, especially if the weather gets a little bit better, just so you can really get talking to people in person again. But as opposed to kind of live events, I think we're all still kind of on standby by that. I'd like to think by the end of the year, definitely we would have returned to live events. Fingers crossed.
Yes, hopefully so. I see that somebody's saying, I've seen this because I know tour guides down there, takeaway pints of stout are available from restaurants in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think, who knows who knows what is going to happen. But listen,
the
we're here.
Takeaway pints are normally in plastic bloody glasses, which is not the same. I don't care
no,
what anybody
it's not.
says.
That's the worst thing about it. It has
awesome.
to be in a glass. Absolutely.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Now, design. I love the design of these because they have a continuity across the design of the Bushmills range. But we're talking a wee bit about design tonight and other aspects of design as well. Some of these ideas that come up with are absolutely fabulous. That looks like the sun setting in the Caribbean or something like that. I don't know, but it looks fantastic.
Yeah, very much. So I think branding is so important. It really is. I know, Marty, you're a big fan of branding and continuity.
I am. Now, everybody keeps thinking I've this absolutely enormous whiskey collection. I have some bottle. No, I have plenty of bottles. But I thought we would do a little bit on branding. So I've brought out an old bottle.
Oh, wow. I love those old labels.
So we have the old label Bushmills.
I love them.
And this is the new one. But you can see an evolution there, but they're not that different. It's that square bottle.
Make sure you close the door, Marty, in case Eeyore gets out of the dungeon.
No. He's all right where he's at. Keep working, you. So
you're right. The bottle shape there, like see, there's a bottle in the distillery, and we believe it's probably the oldest bottle of Bushmills whiskey to exist. It's probably from about the 1880s, and the bottle shape really hasn't changed much to what it is today. But I absolutely love that. And see, if you look at all the like the old Bushmills ads and things like that, even from the US, even from the 90s, even 1950s or so, the bottle really hasn't changed to the point you wouldn't recognize it anymore. And I think that I love that. I love the fact that it hasn't really strayed too far away from what it originally was. Like, we haven't, elongated the neck of the bottle or dramatically changed the shape. It really has stayed true to its origin.
I love the fact that it's extremely practical as well, because that's always the genius. When you're putting this in, there's no dead space. You can fit them in a row and fit them nicely in a box. Lots of the round bottles, you've got lots of dead space. So it's really pretty cool the way they've kept that. And I always think they could repurpose these as building bricks. Somewhere you'll have some boy build a house out of Bushmills bottles.
Don't give Grand Designs an idea. Grand Designs will do that.
I'm patenting that. I'm copying. That's mine. I'm patenting that.
If somebody builds a house from Bushmills bottles, they'll definitely be in for free bottles. First to preview all releases from Bushmills forevermore. Absolutely.
Now,
we're going to get loads of orders from Bushmills. Even a garage.
Lauren, Peter Stewart is asking, what's the best website or Facebook to follow your events on then?
So 2 options really. We will always keep you updated on our Instagram channels, probably be the best, even Twitter as well. So our handle on Instagram and Twitter for our Ireland team is just @Bushmills IRL. And then with my Instagram as well, I'm always keeping everybody updated to what I'm doing. So mine is just Bushmills Lauren. Simple and effective. But we'll always keep you updated, even for the likes of Blackbush Stories, which actually will be not in the too distant future. We're hoping to have those hopefully at the end of May or so. That'll be the best way. We'll always keep you updated on events and how you can purchase tickets and things like that. So hope to see you there.
Here's another piece of design. I borrowed this off Justin. Bushmills is the only distillery to appear on a banknote. Okay, so Bank of Ireland, Bushmills Distillery on the banknotes, and and the old fivers. Now this is plastic money. See, the person that invented plastic money, he should be made to spend jail time with Joe Exotic. That's how much I think he's a prick. It's horrible. It just feels horrible. Everything.
And you lose it.
And you lose, and you open it up, it springs out your hand.
Yeah, it's awful for I rarely carry cash anyway, to be honest now. But no, they're terrible for doing that. As you say, you lose about 20 quid.
It's awful. But here's the thing: a lot of people don't know this. Now, Bushmills is there. Who's that? Who's this? Who's that on that, Lauren?
Who is that? I can't see it.
Hold on, I'll make it bigger. I'll make Marty's bigger. Right, where do you see? Here's Marty's bigger. There you go. Yeah.
I genuinely have seen those ones that you're holding, Marty. I've only seen the other ones that doesn't have that on it. I don't think.
Well, that is Medusa. You know the Gorgon Medusa, who's
of course. I genuinely have never seen that. I've only seen the ones that you have on the screen at the minute there.
No, I had to be fair, I never seen this. I had to get it off Justin because he's the only person with any money. But no,
actually, I've got a better banknote. Look at that one there. There's Jody Best.
Hang on, Justin. Hang on. That's Jody Best whiskey, son.
Jody Best, you've trumped me.
You got that a couple of weeks ago. Bushmills is the only distillery in the world to appear on a banknote.
Yeah. So we appeared on the banknotes back in 2008, which was the 400th anniversary of our original 1608 license. So I believe they appear on the 5, 10 and 20 pounds Bank of Ireland notes. I love them. As you say, that nothing beats the old ones. Don't like the plastic one.
Plastics are just awful. They're just terrible. Absolutely terrible. I borrowed a fiver from Justin. I borrowed I had to use a tin opener to get it out of his hand.
I laughed. I remember we had this conversation when I still worked in the distillery about how many countries, like the US, put their presidents and past presidents on their banknotes. We put our distilleries.
We put whiskey on our banknotes. Oh, much better. Much better. It doesn't age. No, Lauren, you're going to give us your opinion on some of these bottles, okay? I have a whole pile of bottles at my feet here, and I want to just talk about the different brand, the branding, because it's important, and sometimes people overlook it. Okay, what will we grab first? Let me see. Well, I saw someone mentioning this. Penderyn, right? It's the Art Deco design of this. It looks. I think it looks like a sort of kind of like a rocket ship or something. It's really Art Deco. It's really quite funky.
That looks huge. That looks like bigger than. Is that a litre or 700 mils?
No, that's an ordinary 700 ml bottle. That's
huge.
That's the Madeira cast finish one. But I mean, there's a lot of thought has went into this. This sort of fluting at the side, and it just looks really cool, And I like that. I thought that was pretty nice. What do you think?
It looks. I can see there's kind of like a little groove in the front of the bottle there. It looks quite nice.
You see, it sort of flutes at the side here.
We've lost. I thought the signal was going on Lauren there. We've actually lost Lauren, Marty. It was getting a bit jittery there. So she will come back in again. Yes, the design of some of those bottles is very, 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 very impressive. That definitely does look like an Art Deco one. The George Best one looks very retro as well, actually.
Well, to be fair, this was released as a 30th anniversary of them winning the European Cup. So this is from '98. So it is. And actually, when I lifted it out, the box got a wee bit pulled in. So I almost dropped that, Justin, which would not have been nice.
That would not have been good. Yes. The signal, your signal is pretty weak tonight, Lauren. So stay with us. You're back in the room.
I'll try and stay with you this time.
You're all right.
Just sorry about that bottle there. The first thing, Marty, when you lifted that up, that I thought of was a pint of Guinness. See the groove in it?
Mm-hmm.
Like a pint, yeah, like a Guinness glass. Yeah, that's the first thing it reminded me of.
Yeah,
it's you know what? Sometimes those simplistic actually works best.
I think it looks really well because it's sort of a little bit decorative, but without being elaborate. You know, I thought it looked really nice. You know, as I say, folks, anybody who has a favorite bottle or favorite design, tell us about it or send us Justin can maybe see if we can get pictures brought up or whatever.
They can do. Mark Stevenson is saying Writer's Tears is also a very tall bottle as well. So yeah, some of the design of some of these bottles, an awful lot of thought goes into them. And I mean, I would imagine people keep on changing them, the shape of them for distribution purposes, so more fit in a case or something like that there. But you know, it never ceases to amaze me. I mean, this is Peter Stewart is saying this. When I was young, in the 70s, I had 6 Bushmills bottles with jug handles. Unfortunately, they were empty.
To be fair, even having
I think I've only ever come across about one of those in my years with Bushmills. I was just about to say, Mark, the Sexton. That's a beautiful bottle design.
It really is that lovely dark blue hexagonal, and I love that. Yep, there we go.
There we have it.
It is.
No, it's absolutely beautiful. Really, really is. Obviously, it's produced to replicate the beautiful basalt columns found in the Giant's Causeway. So it's a cracker. You can build those well, Marty. You're talking about shelf space. You can actually make your own Giant's Causeway if you save up a few bottles of sex.
Well, we need 50 or 60,000. I wonder where we can get them.
It'll take quite a while for us to get through.
It wouldn't take Marty very long.
What are you on about?
Nothing.
People were talking about the McConnells. I think this is fabulous.
A stunning bottle.
It is. It's really good. But I don't think people sometimes appreciate the cost that goes into making this here. To get a bespoke bottle mold made is a huge amount of money. And then to have your branding up here, I mean, even the weight of the cork there is it's impressive, you know.
Paul's panicking. He's panicking. He says, Bushmills bottle is perfect. Is it changing? No. Lauren's just on tonight to talk about the Rum Edition and design a bit. That's all. It's not changing. Yeah. Honestly, it's not changing.
Calm down, Paul. Calm down.
We've just gone on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah. No. Robert W. Johnson, I like the Dunville's bottle. Not too much on the label is amazing. The Dalmore with Stag's Head mounted on the bottle are great. Yet design is a very, very important aspect of all bottles. It is.
I'm looking down here and I see people pulling up, and it's amazing. What I have sitting down here is basically tallying up with everything that people are saying here. So.
And you said you have a collection.
Yeah, Penderyn Art Deco, really quite nice. I always think Penderyn's one of those distilleries that is a little bit underappreciated because what they do really good stuff, and I think it's because it's Welsh and it doesn't have the sort of heritage of Irish and Scottish whiskey. That they don't necessarily receive the recognition that they're going to get. But at some point, all of this, people will start really appreciating whiskies from other areas and stuff, you know.
Getting really, really positive comments in tonight, Lauren. Keith McCann is saying the Welsh bottle looks really well, as do Waterford releases. But pound per sip, Blackbush is the best Irish available. There you go. Really good to hear that.
I love it. That's the thing. Blackbush, I feel like everybody has a story with Blackbush whiskey, you know, like see a lot of my role would be bartender education, And the amount of people that say to you, I love Blackbush, you know, my granddad always had it in his cupboard, or, you know, my dad got me into drinking whiskey with Blackbush, or it was the first whiskey I'd ever tried. So it's a nostalgic whiskey. I think it really is phenomenal.
I'll tell you, for me, the quality of the spirit you get for Blackbush for the price that you get it at is just absolutely mind-blowing.
I've got to tell you this story, and I'm not encouraging underage drinking, and you shouldn't do this, and shops do not do this, by the way, nowadays. But years ago, I used to be able to go round to the off-license, buy a bottle of Blackbush, and bring it back, and they knew it was for my grandfather, and I wasn't drinking it. I could do the same for cigarettes as well, for my mother, but haven't times have changed? I love it when they ask me to prove my age when I'm buying a bottle of whiskey. They never do now.
That's a long, long time ago, Justin. Lauren might be asked her age going to buy a bottle. You'll not be asked.
All right. Possibly not. Possibly not.
It's kind of like, I know it's so funny how when you're younger, or you've just turned 18 or whatever, you're like, you know, please don't ID me. It's like a terrifying experience, and then you get it in later years, and you're like, you nearly have it out ready for them. Like, go on, like, you sure you don't want to check it? Please.
No. Nowadays, I'd be more likely to be asked, "Oh, do you have your free bus pass there?" No, I'm not that age yet.
You're like, excuse me.
Sorry. Get now. Moving on, so we've got Dunville's. Dunville's, another what I call the Lazarus brands, risen from the grave, but they've kept the authentic labels. Now this is the 1326 single cask one. I always think that the Three Crowns labeling is just phenomenal. I don't have a bottle of it at the minute, to be fair. All the lovely white embossed and stuff is absolutely beautiful. But the thought that has went into the Dunville's bottles is just super, and even the little black roses on these single cask bottles is really, really nice. You know, nice touches.
Those labels are absolutely beautiful. They really do stand out, don't they, on the back bar, even in the off license, they really do catch your eye, the colours and everything.
Yeah, and it's sort of a repurposing of the old vintage bottles, but they've done it really, really well. They've just sort of taken the old labels and sort of tightened it up a little bit and polished it, and I think it looks super. Really
now,
good.
Lauren, I know it's not in your remit, but if you had the design gods to come down, what sort of bottle would you design? What would you go for? Because it's hard to beat something like the Coca-Cola bottle. You know, the Coca-Cola bottle's so iconic with the ribs on it.
The glass bottles.
Yes.
I love those. You never see them anywhere now, really. It's very, very few and far between. You'll find them. I never been asked a question before.
I know. I'm putting you under pressure tonight. Maybe I should ask.
I need to have a well thought out drink. So I think about this. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't realise about our current Bushmills bottle is, you know, the rocks glasses that everybody loves. See that my water glass.
Yes, lovely. I love a square glass. Now Marty likes a round glass, but I like a square glass. Yeah. Square glass.
The shape of those glasses are mirrored to be exactly the same as the bottom of the bottle, like kind of laser cut the sort of bottom quarter of the bottle. I love them. I would need to have a real thought out think about this. It really stumped me now here. I was trying to think, how could we play around like 1608? What about a pot still shaped bottle? That would cost about $1,000 a bottle. to try and get
Right, funny you mentioned that. I have down here Old Putney, because it's the shape of their still. Now, look.
Oh, there we are. See, that's gorgeous.
Isn't that lovely? You know, you have that, and you kind of know what you're getting. You know that there's going to be lots of reflux in this. There's going to be a fairly light whiskey, but it's just a nice touch, you know.
That's beautiful. I like that they can kind of their own pot still design and put it on their bottle. That's really impressive.
Yeah, I thought I really like Old Putney, if I'm honest. I think it's very, very nice. And the bottle is just that nice touch, you know.
Someone's just said their Blackbush stock's nearly done. So's mine. Mine's looking a little bit sad behind me.
It is indeed. Mark Stevenson is saying, I like the way Bushmills bottles have returned to the embossed design reminiscent of the 50s and 60s bottle with the medals on them. Yes, very nice. Paul from Belfast Whisky Week is asking, for Lauren, if you could have your say in releasing one whiskey from Bushmills that is not currently on the market without giving away any trade secrets, what would you select for us to taste?
Paul, you're getting more clever in how you word these questions to try and get me to say something. My lips are sealed. Lips are sealed. This is the thing. I think this is what people love so much, or what it makes me laugh every time, is you give people, you release beautiful new whiskies, and the first question is, when's the next one?
Nice.
You know what I mean? It's like, when's the next one? When's the next one?
The thing about it
is we have nearly 400,000 casks on site at the distillery. We're always experimenting. Helen is always experimenting with different casks, different cask finishes, figuring out what complements our Bushmills DNA, that beautiful triple distilled malt spirit. We've got a few things in the bag for this year as well, so keep your eyes peeled. That's all I'm saying. I've told you a lot there without telling you anything.
Listen, there's a man, Conor is a man after my own heart. He says he hopes they have a Sauternes cask coming out. Now, I do love a dessert wine. So there's a suggestion for you.
We're always open to feedback and suggestions, absolutely.
It's funny, I had for experimental purposes during the week, I had a bottle of Muscatel. I haven't had a bottle of Muscatel wine for I don't know how many years, and I just decided as an experiment I would have a bottle. It was actually really nice. It was all elderflower and sweet. It needs to be a bit more summery for it, but it was quite nice. Nice change.
Yeah, funny you say that. The Muscatel cask from the Causeway collection is my winner from the whole collection.
Yeah,
it just blew me away. Really did. And as you say, it's almost like that floral kind of orange blossom hit. Oh,
yeah. It's the one I have is just elderflower and that sort of cherry blossom smell to it. You know, it was really, really nice and fruity.
They're all at it now, Lauren. Somebody who shall remain nameless, James Moira Doherty. Will Bushmills ever put a grain plant in asking for a friend? She can't tell us stuff about it. She can't tell. Even if she knows, she can't. I mean, I posted pictures of equipment going to Bushmills distillery through Ballymoney, which must have come in a barge, and it went viral. You know, so she can't tell you stuff like that.
Was that the big? Yeah, that was the big washbacks, was it? I think, wasn't it on the back of the lorries?
I think it was.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. So the new distillery that we're currently constructing, at Bush is still on our original site, so we're not moving anywhere. It's still where we are and where we always have been. It's progressing very, very well, and we hope to start distilling in there from July. So it's sooner than you think, but we're still sticking to malt for now. That's what we've always done. We're known and loved for is single malt whiskey. So
I
thought you were going to tell me you were moving to Rathlin Island or something like that there for a minute.
What I want to know is James putting in grain still into his well on the way constructed distillery down in Ardra. So I want to know, is James putting in how much grain?
Turning it around.
So I saw it this week. By the way, folks, you can keep up to date with how James's distillery is going down in Ardra on his. They actually have a webcam you can go on and look. I mean, we should mention that a bit more. But no, it's Bushmills. Just stick with what you're doing. You're doing some wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Next up in the roadshow of whiskey design, I have to bring up the Teelings that we brought up the other week. Now this is €105 or something, €110 for this is the revival. Now they're onto the Renaissance series, but look at that presentation.
Fantastic.
I mean that's just classy. You know, it
That
really
is a piece of a bottle.
beautiful. I mean, even on the secondary market, you're picking these up for like €120. And I mean, it's not okay. There's certain people, lots of people out there can't afford that to throw at whiskey. I appreciate that, but it's something special if you're buying a Christmas gift or a birthday present, or for your girlfriend who's whiskey. This looks €1,000. This looks £1,000. So I have to take my hat off to them. It's fabulous. It's really, really good.
So we're getting great questions in, Lauren. We've got Mark Kerr saying, is the Bushmills shop open? I doubt it. If not, when do you hope to open? Do you know? You probably don't, do you?
I'm currently not sure at the minute. To be honest, I think with the distillery, our approach was first and foremost is the protection and safety of the staff in the distillery. As you can, I'm sure everybody understands and appreciates. I haven't honestly heard any update or any news on when we plan to open, but I really, really hope that it's soon. If so, when we do reopen, I'd imagine that the shop will be the first place to reopen. So obviously everybody around the local areas can come in and buy their whiskey and various other glassware and things like that. So hopefully soon. Haven't got an official date, unfortunately.
And Robert Gustavin, what about this? I release an end of the pandemic bottle. It's a good idea. That is a good idea.
What could you call an end of COVID bottle?
The swallows have returned. The swallows have returned, or something like that. There.
The COVID. No, I was going to say the Causeway COVID collection.
No,
CCC.
listen, I've got it. I've got it. Hand gel special. Hand gel.
Aged sanitizer. There you go. No, we're not doing that. We're not going down that route.
No. Single sanitizer. The Cure. Robert's come up with one. The Cure. She sells Sanctuary.
Here's another excellent idea in for Peter Stewart. Would Bushmills ever consider doing 20, 50 milliliter bottles of new releases that are released for faraway lands for locals to enjoy? That is a good idea. That is a good idea. Some people stand out in miniatures.
Absolutely, and it's really nice to hear feedback like that, because we try to listen to our consumers and people who know and love Bushmills as well as we can. So I mean, it's something certainly that we could look at down the line. As you say, I know a lot of people who don't live in Ireland and are all over the world who want to try the Irish releases and things like that as well. So it's a fantastic idea, but it's always nice to hear feedback like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Marty and me, don't worry, because we have agents all around the world.
Yeah, you have all your contacts.
Secret agents. Yeah. The Hooded Claw.
Cure. Amazing. I like that, Robert. The Cure. I like that.
No, the Cure. That's a great idea. Perfect. Nice.
It is a good idea. There you go.
Right. So the Tea League one, I think we're all impressed by this. Fabulous one. Next up, we'll go for this one. This isn't actually a whiskey. This is the Crystal Skull vodka.
Oh yes, vodka.
That's a classic. And the good thing about that is you can drink the vodka, fill it with water, and set it up, and let on you haven't opened it.
Is that what you've done?
No.
No.
It's like the Arthur C. Clarke mysteries there. Arthur C. Clarke, do you remember it used to start? You don't remember this, Lauren. Arthur C. Clarke did UFOs and mysteries of the world. And it started off with the Crystal Skull,
Arthur C. Clarke's World of Mystery. That was a super program. I loved it.
Marty only has that up to pretend that he's Indiana Jones, Dan
the Man Aykroyd. This is actually Dan Aykroyd owns the company, or I think he part owns the company that makes this. It's Crystal Skull vodka. No, it's a great piece of design. It really is. It's super.
Fantastic. That wouldn't be a cheap bottle to produce anyway. Design on that one.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now I'm not a big vodka drinker, but I bought that. I think I bought that cheap somewhere one time. I just thought it was. How they threw that in, because He was sitting looking out at me. I thought, well,
Marty, what was that? What was that bottle you bought cheap at some bring and buy sale? And it looked like, one of those wee empty things. And you give me a taste of, and it actually had the real whiskey in it. It was worth a fortune. It was only a wee tiny. What was that you opened for me that time?
I think it was one of the Tullamore Dews that I bought for like £1.50 at a like a charity. I shouldn't say it was for charity. It makes me feel like a right mercenary. But no, it was one of those like £1.50 and it like 1950s, 1940s Tullamore Dew, and I said, "Oh, happy days," But I should probably have made them aware of it, give them more money, and then eat it, my fellow man. But I didn't. So there you go. Now, next up.
This is like a wonder covered in here.
It certainly is. How many more have you got to do?
All these things, just a world.
I've about another 6 or 7 to do after this.
Oh,
now,
come on.
Come on. This is good. This, I sort of fell in love with this. I thought this was fabulous. This is a Tullamore Dew, distillery only, little crock pot that you go into a little secret room and fill this up from a wee tap. And this is Californian red wine cask finished Tullamore Dew. I'd be honest, I think this is about as good as Tullamore Dew release. I really want to like Tullamore Dew because I think it should take the cask an awful lot better than it does. There's a lot to like about Tullamore, but there's a few things that I'm not overly struck on. But I thought this is really, really nice. This is something you can take away. This was like €70 for a distillery release. Nice wee limited edition. You get to fill it yourself. It's a nice wee experience. You go up in a little room and get, I thought that was super.
That's really nice. Do you know what I actually thought that was when you? Have you ever seen the Bushmills jugs, little jugs like that? I thought it was something similar to that, but it's actually a bottle.
Yeah, it's a full bottle. It's a full 700 ml bottle.
And they actually trust you to give you a bottle of your own, Marty, because when I was in the Douro Valley in Portugal trying the port, they give everybody else a small glass and they give me a big glass, and they said there's absolutely no point in giving an Irishman a small glass because they just give you a big glass to start with. And he wasn't far wrong.
Well, the wee girl that I went up with, whose name it was either Siobhan or Sinead or something. She was utterly charming, really, really friendly, funny. And we filled up this little thing. She told me all the story about it, and it was just a really, really nice thing. And I thought this is very retro, very Irish, and just a really, really nice thing to put it in. And you get your wee Hessian bag. So it's a bit like the Cologne ones, except they don't have stuff blacked out on the label. They don't have it redacted.
Connor sent a sneak peek of the new distillery Tullamore 6.5-year-old single pot still 2 weeks ago. Spectacular stuff.
Good.
Yes.
I do think Tullamore have
lots of point you said there about them, filling the bottle yourself. We're talking about kind of brand imagery in bottles and, branding. Brand experiences are equally as important because that's something you took away from that distillery. You know what I mean?
Justin and I are both guides, and we appreciate. I've been in a number of distilleries in Scotland and stuff, and some of them are very routine. You get through the motions with them, and so on and so forth. And some of them have just a nice personal touch. There's so many little touches. I was in the Edinburgh distillery just down Holyrood distillery, down near Holyrood House, and as a tour guide, you're looking at, they don't have enough toilets and you have to get in that, and people go, but once you actually get into doing the tour, it was really, really well thought out, really, really good. The tour itself is super. But the brand experience, if you can get someone to go away from the distillery thinking, wow, I had a great experience, you kind of have a customer for life.
You really do. Absolutely. Yep. That's what was so, because that's what I did at the distillery for 5 years before this role was a tour guide, and I loved it. And see, just putting a smile on people's faces and just telling them history about a huge brand, but at the same time, when you're in the distillery, it feels like its own little world type thing as well. And it's so important to give that to people because, as you say, it's something they will never ever forget. Experiences are so important for people. I think actually people now opt more, even when you see holidays and travel, tourism, and things like that as well. It's experiences people look for more rather than things. That makes sense.
I must admit that is true, Lauren. I actually take people to Bushmills even if Bushmills isn't on the itinerary, because you can just come in and out of the Giant's Causeway past Bushmills, let them take a picture, let them go to the toilet, and let them go to the shop if they're big fans. And it wouldn't be the first time that I've dropped gentlemen off at Bushmills and their wives have gone and take the pictures at the Giant's Causeway and then just pick them up on the way back.
And just left them. That happened so much, and it was brilliant. It was like, I had so many people, the exact same thing on my tours. They would say, oh yeah, my wife's actually at the Causeway, but I didn't really want to go. I want to drink with them. And you're just sitting at the bar and you would have a great chat with them. Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. And the thing is, it's so nice as well. See, even at the distilleries in Drito, we have that you can personalize your own bottle, or you can emboss the size of the bottle. And that's a little something, with the distillery reserves, the 12-year reserve, that you can't get anywhere else in the world. And that little token that they have, say if they're not from Ireland and they're from elsewhere in the world, that little token that they can take away and keep with them forever it's really, really nice to have.
Excellent stuff. We should be running a focus group here tonight, Marty. There's Peter Stewart is saying Bushmills should get a tree from the dark hedges and make a few barrels to mature people some whiskey, and that would be hit. I've got to do it. Winter is coming.
Had to be done.
Oh, the only problem is they're beech trees. So they're making cans. I don't know whether beech wood is very astringent.
Yes.
I worked for a little while down there.
The other problem you have there is conservation and sustainability. Don't want to be putting a tree in the dark hedges. I don't think that would go down too well.
I think you mean to blowing down one. You could do beech nut chewing gum flavored whiskey.
Yeah, no, that's a different story. If one falls down, I guess.
so basically, what you're wanting is like a tour bus that's decided to ignore all the rules, smashing into one, knock over. Hooray for Bushmills! No. Don't be attacking us, tourism NI. We didn't mean it, I swear.
No.
We're not going to do that, promise.
Yeah, promise.
Here's Connor Withers. He said, when I took my dad to Middleton, the first thing he did before the tour even started was tell the guide and the whole group that Bushmills Distillery tour was the best he had ever done.
I bet you the guy in Middleton thought that was a nice start.
I know, your dad's a legend. See, that's the thing. Another thing, I mean, I know it's probably very slowly starting to change, but for a while, Bushmills was one of the only distilleries in Ireland that actually took you into production areas, and that really fascinated people because see the smell as soon as you go into the malting or the mashing area. It's the smell of the barley, that beautiful smell. Then fermentation, you get that kind of banana caramel note, and people absolutely love that. And then the heat of the still house hits about 40 degrees in the middle of summer, and everybody's sweating like, get me to the bar, I need a whiskey.
True. Trevor Watson is asking Lauren, what's the most expensive whiskey that you've tried at the distillery then?
That's a very good question. The two that spring to my mind immediately, and I would say they're probably most expensive now, in relation to how long ago they were released, was the 25-year Millennium Malt from Bushmills, and also one of my absolute favourites. Now, this wouldn't be the most expensive, I would say, at the minute, but it was definitely a standout, was the 1608 Anniversary Edition. I've only tried it in my 7 years with Bushmills. I've only managed to try it twice. Once was at the distillery when we had like a dribble in the bottom of the bottle about this size, so I made sure to get some. Second time was actually with Paul during Belfast Whisky Week in 2019. That's the 2 times I've ever tried that. There you are.
I have a bottle of that sitting in there as well. I would say probably from my time there, I tried way more expensive Bushmills whiskies, even the distillery with the Causeway collection launches. But when I was there, it probably was
the 25-year millennium.
Yeah. Put it like this, Paul. I know Paul is watching tonight. Paul and I have both talked about this and agree. Bushmills have, without question, the best whiskey stock in Ireland. We know that they have the best whiskey stock in Ireland, and we've been sitting trying to tease it out. What are we going to get? What are we going to get? And the quality of Bushmills stuff is just amazing. It's second to none.
And actually, we've got our other guest has chipped in tonight, Brona Conlon from the Stokuses. That's what happens in the gin school. People leave as brand ambassadors as well as gin distillers. Yes, if people get involved and get into the place, they really do like seeing behind the scenes or getting hands-on stuff. Absolutely. There you go.
Even our Blackbush Story series of events as well. You might have people. Often you get people, who are partners and, one of them loves whiskey, one of them doesn't, but because of the experience and they've been introduced to whiskey in a completely different environment and maybe even through a cocktail, like they've never, experienced before, and they kind of like, hold on a minute, like I actually love this. I love the brand story. I love the whole atmosphere of the event. So she's absolutely right, Bruno's spot on there.
I'm going to go and grab myself one of the 1608s. Hang on, I'll be back.
In the notion for one.
Lauren, what I do like the way at the end you do get a chance to sample it, and what I love is I never stick to the markers of creams tour guide, because if one of the people doesn't partake for whatever reason, I always make sure that I drink their sample. That's the good news. And it wouldn't be the first time I've left the car parked in Belfast and just picked it up the next day when I'm doing a tour that doesn't involve a distillery visit or something like that. That's always the way. Or I get picked up at the Causeway by somebody from Coleraine,
Amazing. I just saw Stacey's comment there about the tasters at the end of the tour. Absolutely right. They did get to do that. So how it kind of evolved over the years, they at the end of the tour, they asked for volunteers. And I think usually it would maybe have been about 4 or 5 people would have put their hand up, like the real whiskey drinkers and the real whiskey drinkers within the group. And they got to go off and do what we now call as a premium tasting. So they got affiliate samples. Now what they do is offer you basically your choice of whiskey at the end of the tour. So it has changed slightly because we're fully aware that a lot of people drive after they leave the distillery. So one measure is more than enough. So it has changed quite a bit over the years.
Can I just say the Distillery Reserve Bushmills is fabulous stuff. The 16,
the 12-year,
the 12-year-old Distillery Reserve's fabulous, and the 16, in terms of value for money, the 16-year-old Bushmills is
it's a phenomenal. It would be certainly my favorite Bushmills within the kind of core family. It's just you genuinely could sit with the 16-year and happily just sip it for about 20 minutes. Because there's so much depth to that whiskey. There's so many layers to peel back from the 3 cask maturation that it's just
awesome stuff. The 21, I have to just put a little thing out about the 21. The 21 has the most beautiful finish on it. It's lovely, very silky finish on it, but it's just a little bit boring. If I'm honest, I just think it's. I always liken it to the girlfriend your mum would pick for you. She's going to be good looking. She's going to, she's going to have well educated, nice prospects and all that. But it's maybe not what you're looking for. I just want you want a little kick to it. That's how I describe Bushmills 21.
That's so important as well, because I think many people think, because it's older, it must be better. An older age statement, so it has to be better, which is absolutely not true. It all comes down to first of all, your own preference, your own palate, and second of all, the casks finishes and casks are used in maturation. So I have to agree with you on that one. The 16 for me over the 21 anyway.
I think the 16 just has that nice more depth to it and more you can grip more to it. The 21 is fabulous, but it's just a little bit. It's like having a Rolls Royce and taking it to the Spar. It's not really what you need. Now, I picked up on a little comment that Justin sort of skipped over. Stacey McAllister said, "Old Putley." is regularly in the Pot Still bar at £2.50. I know exactly what she's talking about. That's the Pot Still bar in Glasgow. If anyone ever goes to Glasgow and doesn't go to the Pot Still bar, they need horseback through the street. It's just an amazing place. I haven't been for about a year and a half now. There's about 700 whiskies all over the place. The staff in it, you pick something and they get 4 bottles down to you and try that, have a look at that. What do you think? Smell that? Oh, they're just awesome. It's just the most fabulous bar. Absolutely awesome place. Now, getting back to the design stuff, Lauren.
I think, Marty, you're teasing us all with your dram of 1608.
Yeah, I'm going to annoy a few people here. I like that. I love this distillery, and I love this bottling as well. Edredur, cask strength. Now, the reason I like it is, look at the size of that stopper. That's a stopper and a half. For Bushmills, look at that.
Size isn't everything.
I know this, Justin. I know that more than anybody. But this, I think that's a really nice single cask, natural cask strength. But it's just a nice presentation. It almost comes in it's almost like a sherry decanter. It's really nice presented. Edredur, I was lucky enough to be at Edredur a few years ago. It's a beautiful distillery, but I think that the way that's set out, the colour of this is a little garish. That it's a bit sort of glamorous purple. But I think the bottle itself is actually really pleasant and nice.
I love that. I like the look of that. I like that, and I like the big cork. It would remind you of the McConnell's cork as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. You see, I'll give you. I'm going to pour this the 1608. I'll just wet the cork before I open it.
Teasing us all. You know what?
See
just
that?
in the note of that whiskey with the big stopper. If we have any tequila drinkers or lovers listening, because I love tequila as well, 1800 tequila has the big stopper at the top of it, and that's the first thing I thought of when you brought it out there.
Yeah, it's just. I think it's a nice bottling.
Yeah, it's
I
lovely.
really like Edredur. It's tiny wee distillery. It's that tiny that it's twice the size of Brendan Carty's in Cologne. That's how small it is. But it's a fabulous distillery, and I really like the bottling. I haven't that opened yet. I might chance that later on in the week. But so that's Edredur. Now we're going to go to Waterford.
Yes.
Now, in terms of, this is like Doctor Who when it first came on versus all the Coronation Street. I've already said this is my old go-to whiskey, but if you see something sitting on a shelf, this stands out. It just does. The blue, the glass stopper,
Before we move on, Marty, somebody sent in a lovely picture of them at the Edredur, at the smallest distillery in Scotland. There you go. It's Mark Kerr standing there. Yeah. The sign's probably bigger than the distillery, is it?
Do you know how many people make whiskey in Edredur? 3. There's 3 people make the whiskey in Edredur. That's it. They've doubled production by building exactly the same distillery, just a little bit further up. They make about 3 casks a week. That's it. It's just, and there's 2 wee rivers run down through it. It's all white stone building. It's just like a wee postcard. It's a fabulous little place. It's really nice. Really nice.
Now, where were you, Marty? You're in Waterford now.
Waterford. Now, Waterford, that blue really stands out. It's really quite nice. Do you know what these little ripples are for? It's not for striking a match to have a cigarette. Don't be smoking, kids. Bad for you. This is to replicate the ploughed, furrowed fields of the people who grow the barley.
Oh, nice.
It's nice. It's really nice. I love the textured label. The whole thing about it's just really quite nice. Justin was at me sent over the pictures for the news about 9:30 because people think we prepare this all week. Basically, what happens is about 9 o'clock. Normally, I send stuff over to Justin, and then we say, right, what are we doing tonight? That's essentially the level of detail it goes on. But I fell asleep, so I couldn't get. There's a name for this cork, or name for this stopper. I can't remember what it is. It's glass, which is a bit unusual with a little bit of plastic on it, and it just doesn't feel good. And it stands out. It's really stands out. Really, it's fast looking.
There's very few actually Irish whiskey bottles that are coloured as well, so that kind of makes it stand out a little more. Lovely blue colour. Mm-hmm. Even like Jackson is obviously black as well. It obviously catches your eye.
And now the next one, we're going stateside. We're going away to the US, and you can't not bring this one up. Jack Daniels. I heard this described as a pirate's flag, and that's kind of what it's like. When someone's bringing out a bottle of Jack Daniels, you're going to have a good night. Okay, this is not the old reverend sitting down and having a little tipple of an evening. When someone brings out a bottle of Jack Daniels, it's a good night. Okay, but there's another little thing to this. What's the number 7? It says Jack Daniels number 7. What does that mean?
Is it like WD-40?
No. Well, in some ways, they're not actually sure. They think that it's the number 7 was the distillery within the Kentucky region that they were there. But actually, Jack Daniels themselves aren't 100% sure that that's what it was for. But look at it. I mean, it's like a pirate's flag. It's really like, you see Slash back in the day when he was playing for Guns N' Roses. He had a bottle of Jack Daniels in his hand. And I'm not a huge fan of Jack Daniels, but with a drop of Coke in it, you're in for a good night.
It needs Coke. Jack Daniels needs Coke.
It's a night and a half you're getting that night,
Well, is that your last bottle, Marty, then? Because we've kept Lauren an hour here.
Lauren, we have 2 more. We have 2 more, right? We have 2 more. I love this bottle. I genuinely think the effort that went into this is fabulous. And when you see this, the idea of this, Marjorie Samuels, when she thought of this, really wanted this to stand out. And it's Maker's Mark. The Maker's Mark, the idea of this was like red lipstick. It was to be sexy. Let's be honest. So when this sets up against any other of these bottles, even this one, this stands out, and it's got that iconic look to it. Maker's Mark could be making 400 bottles an hour, but because they have to hand dip every single bottle, they make 200. This is half the production, and just think of the cost of that. It's just enormous. But when that's sitting on the shelf, it stands out against everything else. It really does, and it's fabulous. And the woman who came up with this, Marjorie Samuels, she was the first woman inducted into the Bourbon Hall of Fame, because when Maker's Mark started doing this, sales, I think they quadrupled. I can't remember the exact figure, but I think they quadrupled just because of that.
And of course, it ticks the food safety box, because there's you can tell if the bottle's been opened or not as well. And
it also means there's no leakage, there's no evaporation. So you could have the bottle sitting forever, basically, and it's not going to come out. It's just fabulous.
James Moore Doherty says the wax running down the neck is part of the trademark registration. Is there a gin that does that as well with the wax?
Short Cross Gin do it. Short Cross do it. And as do our good friends down in Cologne as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Now,
Smith Gin does it as well.
Yep.
That's right. Smith. Yes.
Yeah. I think they do, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Now this one more. This we're going to finish on a little bit of a up and then down, and then I'm going to have a 1608. The idea of this was like sexy red lipstick. That was that. Then you have this. This is OTT. This. Okay, they put the Pogues on it. A band that I love. Love Shane MacGowan. Fantastic songwriter. This is a bit too much. They've jumped the shark. This is when OTT. Where this is standing out. This is firing a flare out in the air. I think this is sort of moved on. But these, as you can see, are all iconic brands and designs, and they just some of them.
But there are a lot of other spirits, Marty, that do bottles that are all one color, like that the Pogues one.
Yeah, but that's a bit garish. Let's be honest. It's a bit like putting in far too much colouring into your whiskey. It just it's not really setting well. Now, I'm going to pour my 1608.
Tease us all here.
There we go.
I know.
Lovely
Tease
stuff.
us all.
Oh, lovely, nice, light, malty the whole way through. It's nearly
just rubbing it in now.
It is. William McLennan says he likes your 10-year-old. It's hard to beat for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such that, do you know what? Say if someone said to me, I've never drank whiskey in my life, but I really want to start getting into it, it would be the Bushmills 10-year that I would direct them towards, because it's such a delicate, beautiful whiskey. And even our master Helen, she is very open and states that our Bushmills 10-year is the hardest whiskey to get consistent because it is so delicate. There's not really anywhere to hide with it. You really have to make sure that those really subtle green apple kind of milk chocolate notes really shine above everything else. But it's definitely it's phenomenal. It was the first single malt whiskey I ever tried. I love it.
That is fabulous. Lauren, thank you very much for your time tonight. It's been absolutely fabulous, and I'm glad you stayed on and gave us some of your opinion on these bottles.
Absolutely.
It's been great. I like the fact that people have commented stuff that they like themselves as well. I'm going to go and enjoy myself and have my 1608. Thank you very much, Lauren. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.